St. Joe's Tino Villarreal, Real Hondo's Rocky James, and Hidalgo's head coach Monty Stumbaugh. Sorry for the bit of a delay. We just had a couple little small technical difficulties trying to get Coach Stumbaugh on. He's on. We're ready to go. And coaches, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Definitely. So, guys, how have you all been? I noticed each one of you guys are already back in y'all's office. That has to feel pretty good to be back in the workplace.
Yeah, it is. I need to get in here. My wife's probably going to divorce me, so but no, it feels good to be up there and be able to work. About 3 days a week. What we're working 3 hours a day, so it really feels good to get out of the house and be able to do some things. Make some headway on some stuff.
Yeah, for me too. It was nice getting back to school. We're actually last week we were half days, and then this week we're full days. And then next week I think we're still full days as the administrative staff, and then the hourly wage. But it was nice getting out of the house and actually getting back to kind of a normal setting of coming back to the office, even though we're still wearing our masks when we walk around. At least getting up and going somewhere every day was a little bit back to normal.
Yeah, same thing for me. I was tired. I slipped into the thing that I think a lot of people are going to is my hours of sleeping were just off. And I would find myself on Netflix late. And, usually I have a mental clock that wakes me up at 6, 7 a.m. And that got pushed back to 9, 10 a.m. And just getting back into the routine of things is a sign that there may be a football season. And it gets me excited about it.
Yeah, and you guys are all back at work, and we're starting to see UIL made some announcements. The governor made a couple announcements that we're slowly starting to get back to normalcy. We're seeing gyms reopen. Tino, I'm sure you're excited about that. We're seeing the restaurants open up to I think about 50% capacity, and then
Tino's happy about that too.
and now for us, we're starting to see that they're going to allow physical activities at the schools. What were you guys' reaction to that, and what plans do you guys have for that once we're allowed to get back to some workouts?
Go ahead, stop.
Oh, okay. Well, when they sent it out yesterday, saying they're going to try to do it June 8th. So, we're all kind of waiting around to see what we can do and how we can do it. But, I'm looking forward to it. I know the kids are. We're working out. I'm sure those guys are too. Everybody's sending them doing YouTube or sports U apps or whatever. So, we're sending workouts to our kids and filming with our kids and things like that. But it's not the same as in person. But, hopefully, we'll be able to. I'm looking forward to it, being able to work with the kids. The problem we have in Hidalgo is, they do summer school from 8 to 1 o'clock every day all through June. So, we have to find times where we can get all our kids. But we have a plan. We got our summer plan. We're just waiting to see when we can start it, and we'll go from there.
Right. Us too. I mean, we have a summer plan ready. Getting these kids, I just don't know what's going to happen. I still think it's kind of early to let all these kids back together. Just from a personal standpoint, I think it's still kind of early because people are still getting sick, and with number of cases that are still popping up, especially in Cameron County. I think we have it probably worse than everywhere else I heard. So it's a little bit scary still to see what's going to happen. But, we're all waiting to see what UIL decides and what the governor decides. And when it does happen, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of stipulations. Tino was talking about his taps, and they had put in some big time stipulations. So I wonder what's going to happen when it actually does open. It can't open, I don't think, full force where I'm going to get 100 kids here and boys and girls and all together and working them out like we do every summer. So I think there's going to be some type of thing where only so many kids can come at a time. It may help, who knows, it may help instead of getting them all here at one time. But I guess we'll see when that time comes.
Yeah, I mean, everything, obviously UIL controls like 90% of the athletics in the state of Texas. So we're also waiting to see what UIL does, because TAPS released a similar thing for us this week, where we're able to start working with our kids June 1st. And so, but the way that works is not ideal. we have a plan, just like I'm sure that Rocky and Monty have a good plan. We have a plan. We want to get back at it as well. But right now, check out the stipulations. So in June 1st, we can bring kids back on campus, but it has to be outdoor activity. And you cannot use any equipment from the school, and the kids cannot bring their own equipment. So you can't take any weights or medicine balls or plyo boxes or anything out there. That's considered equipment. A football, a basketball, anything with a ball that they get to pass around and touch, that's considered equipment. Can't do that. You can't have contact with each other, so you can't even do one-on-one drills. There's not, even without a ball. So it limits you. What can you do? You can social distance and make them run on the field. You can do some sort of outdoor body CrossFit type stuff, at least see the kids out there. But everything's got to be outdoor. You can't have indoor facilities. And for now, that's the restriction that we've been given. So I'm hoping that the UIL is going to figure out something, because I'm pretty sure TAPS will follow whatever UIL guidelines are that start June 8th. But as far from June 1st to June 8th, we've got to keep four kids per coach. They got to be wearing masks, and a maximum of 20 to 25 people per session on campus, and that's it. And so we're a small school. It doesn't really affect me that much. But if I had 100 kids, 150 kids like these guys do, you got to start planning the coaches are going to have to be there all day, and you're going to have to ask coaches to work their butt off and spend the entire day there as you break up the sessions.
As athletic directors, do you guys maybe plan on dividing it up with volleyball would go here, track would go here, or would it be a collective effort with all the athletics together? What do you guys feel would be easier to get workouts in?
I don't know. I think it goes again back to, waiting to see what UL says. Like Tino said, how many can you bring up here? 25 kids, 20 kids, probably going to have sessions. That'd be my big deal. How does UL want us to do it? Because you can't, like Rocky said, I can't bring 100 kids up here. Well, you can if they let you, but you're going to have 100 kids. You're kind of defeating the purpose of what we've been doing. So I'm still just waiting around. I would have a plan, like Tim said, if you can't go inside, well, that kind of throws volleyball, basketball out, and you do outside where everybody can run, everybody can do, body weight stuff without things. But I think it goes back again to waiting to how UL wants us to do it. And like Tino's restrictions, that's tough. It's hard to do them things. And, I know all of us have workouts with weights, workouts without weights you give your kids and all that. But I'm still going to go back and say, I don't really know what I'm going to do till UL tells me what I can do. Yeah. And then, like these guys will figure out a plan and make it work, because that's what we have to do.
Yeah, I feel the same way as Monty. It's going to be what UIL decides that we can do, and then we'll go from there. But I think they're trying to just get a little normalcy out of this and maybe let us have 20 kids up here just so they can be around, and instead of not seeing them till September or October or whatever may happen, trying to make it a little bit more normal for these kids. So I can see some things like what TAPS did or is planning on doing, where you can get so many kids up, and it's really going to be all body weight stuff. But I think it's more to get the kids around. The hard part for us as coaches is trying to keep those kids separated, because once they see each other, it's going to be hard to say, hey, you can't go over there and say hi to him. Everybody's spread out. Right. It's going to be tough as coaches. And then when they leave, they're all going to jump in cars together. And just the way they get to school is really the way that the whole thing is. They're all come in bunches, together. And a lot of these kids, like for us, there are a lot of farm kids and out in the country kids. And so for them to get to school, they got to get rides. And so it's going to be very tough for us keeping these kids apart, away from each other.
Yeah. That's good.
Tino?
Like I said, we're going to try to follow the guidelines. My school in the Diocese of Brownsville, the Catholic Diocese also, we got to abide by what they do and what they ask us to do. So my job's been to come up with protocols. What happens when a kid comes on campus? What is it that we're going to require? Are we going to take their temperature? Are we not going to take their temperature? Are we providing masks for kids that try to come onto your campus without a mask? Do you turn them away? there's just a lot of things. It's got to be voluntary. That's one other stipulation with TAPS. You can't make it mandatory. You can't reprimand a kid for staying at home. So we're just gonna have to be creative. Like I said, I think once UIL politics that a little bit more, I think UIL carries a lot of weight in how the high school sport world is going to move towards. And I know that TAPS will probably follow suit.
Right now, obviously the spring sports, with that getting canceled, the good thing with football, track, or not track, but cross country and volleyball is that you guys have time to let this pandemic just see it through and everything get back to normal. And hopefully by August, we can start on time. I'm feeling that we're leaning that way. When does the red flag start to come up on seeing that the more we are limited, the more we're kind of just hanging back, as we say, we get into June, July, and then it's like, okay, we're still not being able to work out. And then this could lead to the season maybe not starting on time. Do you guys have maybe a little red flag in your head thinking like, okay, if we're still not meeting by June, July, that could push the season back? Or how are y'all approaching that?
Well, I don't know. I don't really have a date or a red flag in my head. I just know the longer that we wait to work with them, we're going to start later. I think that would just be common sense, because if we can't start working out to August, these kids hadn't worked out since spring break, let's say. So that's April, May, June, July. That's 4.5, 5 months. These kids have been on their own, so to speak, and haven't had somebody there pushing and working them and on top of all the schoolwork. So, you got to give them time to get all these kids back into shape. So, I just think it goes back to the same thing. The longer we wait, the longer I think it'll push off. There's been all kind of stuff. Well, we'll do that, or maybe we'll start later and it'll be a shorter season, or maybe they won't do anything till January. Who knows what's going to happen. Could be a whole regular season, could be a shortened season, like Rocky and those guys, they're in 18 districts. I'm in a 5-team district, so it just depends. But, I don't really know what's going to happen. I don't have a date. I just think the longer we wait, the longer it's going to be till we start getting the regular full workout season in. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't have a red flag either. If we start late, it's going to be tough because we're used to working with these kids from the day football ends, basically all the way to August. We're working with these kids and trying to keep them in shape and getting them in shape. And to get the kids just in August, say we get them in August, I mean, it's going to be tough to get kids in shape. A lot of injuries happen, even being in such great shape that we can get these kids in. Injuries happen. And I just think more and more injuries could possibly happen if we're going to try and rush this thing. So being able to work with these kids, for a couple of months is beneficial to us and for the kids. But I don't think we'll have a couple of months to work with these kids. We get into July and August, it's going to be very, very tough to get to these kids into some type of shape to play football. Other sports, they're going to have it, a lot easier than we are. Obviously, being football coaches, all of us being football coaches also, that's going to be the tough sport, I think, is getting these kids ready for a season.
I would give it, I'm going to take a stab at the date. I think that if we're not indoors, I'm not talking 100%, just the 2025 kids, if we're not allowed to be indoors by July, I don't think the football season is going to start on time. I think that the ideal would be for us to start meeting in small groups indoors by July, have June be an outdoor deal, and then you start slowly working some indoor and some equipment use in July. That way we can try to be close to 100% by indoor by August, because there's no way you can start football season in August if you can't have full team practices. What are you going to do if you're still in August and you can do football practice, but you got to limit the amount of people to 2025? There's no way that you can properly prepare kids to play a football season that way until you get back to allowing more than 50 at a time, or at least 50. You can separate at this point, cut the numbers down for the big 6As and 5As or the big 4A programs. But, it's going to have to be, we're going to have to go back to some sort of equipment use and indoor facility allowed by July, in my mind, would be a red flag. If we're in July, we're still outdoor and we still can't throw a football around because multiple people touch it, we're going to be in problems.
Does TAPS have any kind of a window on when they're going to announce something as far as the meetings go, or what is their plan? Have you heard anything?
As of right now, TAPS has just allowed us to go June 1st, and then we're just waiting on every governor's executive orders. Me personally, I'm waiting on what the UIL is going to do, because I personally have a feeling that, kind of the UIL is going to control a big bulk of what TAPS is going to, the next TAPS guideline is most likely going to reciprocate what the UIL is going to do.
Definitely. We're joined by Real Hondo's Rocky James, Hidalgo's Monty Stumbaugh, and Brownsville St. Joe's Tino Villarreal here on our sideline sit down. Shifting gears, coaches, and talking about the realignment and the new look districts for you guys. Once we get to football, it's going to be business as usual. Just talk about the new districts that you guys are in, and what are going to be some challenges. I know, Rocky, you guys are making the jump from 4 teams to 8 teams. So it's going to be quite the new scenery for you guys.
Oh, yes. There's gonna be a lot of travel, bringing those or taking us into their district, basically, because there was 5 of them. There's only 3 of us down here. We lost Progresso, so we even lost 1 more of our team. So it's gonna be a tough climb, playing all those schools away. Our sub-varsities don't play them, so the late Thursday night games are not gonna happen. We find local games. So we really don't have a district for the JV and the freshmen. We just play whoever we can play. But our district games, we do play those district games, but just not the sub-varsities. So yeah, I'm excited for it, and I was more excited when we got it, and then taking it away from us, basically not being able to prepare for these teams is pretty tough. But losing games like with Tino and with Monty, losing those games, with the La Ferias, were big games for us that we love to play in. And so losing those, because now I only have 2 non-district games. So losing the rivalries I have with these other teams, that one kind of hurt a little bit. We've been used to playing them. I've played these guys since I got here. I've been the AD here 12 years, and so I've been playing these same games for 12 years, basically. So it's tough losing those rivalry games. But UIL switched it up, and I did want more teams in the district. I just didn't want to have to travel all the way over there, but I did want more teams in the district. I was hoping they'd put the 4A, D1, and D2 back together, like one big happy family like we used to be. That was a lot of fun when everybody was one district.
Who are your first 2 non-district opponents?
I have PSJ Memorial is one of them, and Juarez Lincoln are my 2 first games.
Okay. Coach Stumbaugh?
Our district didn't change; it stayed the same. But
I have 3 games.
But like Tino and Rocky went to 18 districts. I lost. I had 3 or 4 people drop us, and then I lost the games. I was going to play Rocky again, but when Real Hondo and St. Joe and Raymondville, PI dropped me. So I had Raymondville, I had West Oso, I had Real Hondo is my last 3 non-district games. And when they went to 18 districts, bam, I lost it. And Tino went to 8, so that's 4 games I lost. PI dropped me, that's 5 games I lost. So right now I only have 8 games. I have 1 through 4. I got a plan for week 5 and possibly week 6 before I start districts. So when realignment hurt, as far as I'm concerned, it hurt me, because I lost games, and all the 4As around, 5As around here are big districts, and they get 1 or 2 non-district games, so that threw them out. So now I'm hunting for games, and I know a lot of people in San Antonio, Corpus, around the state, and everybody was full. But I've got some options. I'm still going to get 9, I think, but. It's kind of like Rocky, I know they weren't going to do it, but it'd be nice to go back to that old 18 Valley district we had, and everybody played each other. And, and one more thing, I played St. Joe most of the times they're near Real Hondo since I've been here. Those were fun games, big rivalries, friendly rivalries. But, they were fun. They were fun to go out and coach against each other. And talk a little smack to each other, but have some fun. Like, Tino was going to new school me and I was going to old school him. But I miss that. I miss, playing Rocky. I miss playing Tino. We had some good games, some good battles, and it helped our kids move on to help us in district. So I'm going to really miss that. So for me, my district didn't change, but I did lose games. That was my fear that Real Hondo, PI, and Rainville would move up. And unfortunately, for me, they did. I know, and they got a lot of travel, but they'll be fine up there. But that part I'm going to miss. I really like coaching against those guys and have a lot of fun with it.
Coach
And
Tino?
I'm also playing Brownsville, Rivera.
Okay.
Those are my 3 non-district.
We
Go ahead,
got moved.
Tino.
We got moved for the first time into an 18 district, which is new for us. We're always been in the ridiculous districts of how many teams are in your district? 4. That means you only have three non-district games. I mean, I know you guys, Rocky, you face that. It's an awkward situation because you got to find so many non-district games. Monty's in that right now, and it sucks to be in that situation. But St. Joe's always been in that situation, and now all of a sudden they flip us. And like Rocky, we're having to travel all the way to Austin. We got 4 Austin schools in our district. We got 2 San Antonio schools in our district, Corpus Christi and Brownsville. We already get kind of, and it's not a complaint or, man, we kind of get, once non-district rolls around, people kind of forget St. Joe has football team because we're in our own weird district. We have opponents that nobody really knows about, nobody really cares about because we cover Valley sports. And so the rivalry that I had with Rocky and Monty and playing these schools to me kept me, at least me, Tino Villarreal, friends with these guys. We would see each other, we'd talk, trade film, our middle schools played each other and stuff like that. And so we were always, I felt, even though I wasn't in a district in the Rio Grande Valley, these guys were always, they welcomed me into their 4A district because we'd always play each other. So we'd meet for middle school and we'd all play each other and we'd trade film with each other. And so I got to know all these guys as head coaches and athletic directors and athletic coordinators. And so it kind of takes me out of that world a little bit. And so I'm starting to feel the isolation where St. Joe football, we're going to play a couple of non-district games and then we're gone. And so we're a team that resides in the Rio Grande Valley that's not really, that I don't have a link to the Rio Grande Valley anymore. And it's real tough for us to feel that way. But I'm excited about the challenge. We're going to play Austin Regents, which has gone to the state championship in private school the last 2 years. We're going to play against Bernie Geneva School that won the state championship in the lower class division and just got bumped up a division. So we're going to play some tough opponents, unfortunately, opponents that people down here don't really know about, never heard of.
Definitely. Coaches, if you guys have been keeping track of our quarterback bracket that we've had a lot of fun with, we had some heck of a matchups, and all of you guys had a quarterback on that list. Rocky, you had Tyler Bush. Coach Tino, you had Kai Money, and Coach Stumbaugh, we had Isaiah Martinez on that list. Have you guys been keeping up with that, with the voting and how everyone's kind of just chiming in and talking about these list of quarterbacks?
Not me. I don't even know what you're talking about. So I don't really get on any. I'm not a big site watcher. I mean, I
Social
know
media.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you, social media guys. So, I don't have one because the main thing about social media, you got to have friends. I ain't got many friends, so I don't get on social media. So, but I don't know anything about it. Now that I do, I'll go vote. But those were 3 pretty good people you mentioned right there. 3 pretty good football players right there. Those 3 guys.
Well, before Coach James and Coach Villarreal chime in, we basically put a list of 16 quarterbacks together from the last decade, and we created a bracket, and we allowed the fans to vote for 48 hours, and they would go on there and vote on Facebook and Twitter. And right now, we're in the Elite 8. Unfortunately, Isaiah Martinez lost in the first round against Landry Gilpin.
Come on, man! What the hey?
Hey, I tell you what, the PI fans came out and voted, but a lot of these younger kids didn't know who Isaiah Martinez was, but now I think they do. I think they have an idea on who Isaiah was. But if you could talk about Isaiah for just a couple minutes, Coach, on what he meant to the program back in the day when you guys were making 3 or 4 rounds in the playoffs.
Isaiah, he started 3 years for me as sophomore, junior, senior year. He's won. Well, he may be the first guy that started all 3 years for me. I had a couple that did two. Isaiah was something special. He was a good one, man. He could get in and run that follow. He was so dang short, you couldn't even see him. And they say no boom, he'd squirt out and be gone. But he was football smart. Uh, the main thing, he was tough, man. He was strong, little poot. We lived in a weight room. He could lift. But the main thing about Isaiah, the kids believed in him. And that's the thing about quarterbacks. They got to have somebody they'll follow and somebody believe in. And the kids just thought they could make things happen. And he would do things that and we didn't throw much. We threw about 12 times a game. And he could throw the football. He meant a lot to us. He was that whole group. There was like 10 sophomores of that group that all started as sophomores there, and they took their lumps but they ended up finishing, pretty strong. But Isaiah meant a lot. He's one of I always compare him to way back in the day to Gabriel Alvarez back in 2003. Now that little sucker could move. He was a shifty. And Isaiah got to meet him. Gabriel's been in the Navy for the last 15, 16, 17 years, and he came down, and that was kind of Isaiah's hero, and he got to meet him. So a heck of an option quarterback. He was a very good option quarterback and a very smart, a great kid to be around. All those kids. I loved all my kids, but Isaiah meant so. He was a 3-year starter, and he could run the option. I'll give you that, and he could do that. So it was good to. I was very fortunate to be able to coach kids like that. I was lucky to be there.
Yeah, and then right off the bat in the first round, it happened to be Tyler Bush and Kai Money. That was a heck of a first round matchup. And Tino and I talked, and when we went on our show unveiling the bracket, we talked about that game that Real Hondo you guys had and came back and won. And the numbers that both Tyler and Kai put up that game were ridiculous. They were video game numbers. Just go back and talk about that and just how special that matchup was now that we take a step back and look at it and what those two guys did.
Go ahead, Tino.
I told Kevin and Rocky, we've never talked about this, but that year was Kai's Money senior year, and a lot of expectations. They were really high here at the school and also at the private school level. We were preseason ranked in the state, up there with the Bishop Lynch and the Midland Christians and the Bishop Duns and all those guys that All Saints that graduate every year. Close to a dozen D1 athletes, and there's little St. Joe, and we're ranked up there, and so we start believing the hype, and we think we're going to be pretty good, and we come out the first game, and we get our butts whooped, and we're 0-1, and we don't know what the hell's going on, and we come out the second game, and we're 0-2, and we don't know what's going on. Then all of a sudden we're playing Rocky James and Rio Hondo, who's also hot, and they got some great athletes. They're putting up some awesome numbers. And we're just like, God, the mountain's just getting bigger and bigger. And we're sitting up there up 27-0 at the end of the first quarter. And we're thinking, all right, this is who we really are. We're the 27-0 against the Rio Hondo Bobcats. And all of a sudden, they start making a comeback and they cut it down to 1 touchdown before the half. Then they tie it up. Then they take the lead. And bam, St. Joe's 0-3, and we have a dramatic finish there at the end with Rio Hondo. It always seems that we have some crazy games against Rio Hondo. I don't know how that happens, but that kid Tyler Bush, I'll talk about him just briefly. I mean, what an athlete, man. I mean, that guy is like Kai. They can hurt you with their arm and they can hurt you with their feet, and they're smart and they can read the field and they make great instinct decisions that are insane. Isaiah, like Monty said, is a beast as well. I had to play against that guy, and he's a guy who I don't even know his height. I mean, he's probably 5'6", and he'll play you like he's 6'2", 220, man. He's trying to run over your butt, and if he can't run over you, he's gonna jump over your butt, and you got a little guy like that who can play like a big man. I mean, we've had some awesome rivalries, dude, and I've got nothing but respect for both of these guys that are on the show with me right now, and their quarterbacks resemble their attitude a lot, and those guys are well-deserving. I can only say what can I say about Kai Money other than every once in a while, once every decade or two, you get a super special athlete that comes along that can just uplift an entire program. And Kai was that guy for St. Joe. He's a guy that we lean on his shoulders, and he took us as far as he could take us. But besides him, all the accolades and awards and stuff, he's just a great kid. He's just a humble kid. He's a good guy. He's a straight A student guy. He's the type of guy that you just, he's a role model in and out of the classroom, never gets in trouble. He's not the party guy. He's a guy that just wins over your locker room with his heart and his personality. So just to have him named part of that list is good enough for me, because that's all just a popularity contest. And it's not about whoever wins that sucker is just going to be who can get the most votes out of it. And it's not, they're all deserving, man. Just to have guys up on that list is awesome, Kevin. So thank you for that.
Yeah. I was happy that Tyler was on that list. I don't really know a whole bunch about it or what was going on with that list, but us playing against St. Joe, that one game, I mean, every game came down to the wire. It seemed like here and there, and it was always tough, but it was a lot of fun. That game, looking forward to play Kai Money and seeing his dad Philip on the sideline yelling at me, and I'd yell at him, and we have a great relationship. I even called timeout one time and told the refs that, hey, his dad was holding a sign, the down marker, and I was like, you can't be coaching holding the down marker. So I stopped the game for a good 20 minutes just so my guys could rest, because Tino's guys were just killing us there for a while. So just to change the momentum of the game, I stopped it. But Kai was a great athlete. He was the one that you worried about. You're playing St. Joe. The one guy you have to worry about was going to be Kai Money, and luckily for us, I thought we have a lot of weapons, and Kai Money just made their group really, really good. And so did Tyler with us. I think I had a little bit more weapons than Tino does, and Tino's got a lot less kids than I do. But they did a tremendous job, and I had nothing but respect for Kai Money and the things that they do over there at St. Joe with Tino. Does a great job. Doesn't have very many kids. He'll come out with 30 kids, and I got 50 or 55 kids, and seems to give us a good fight every single game. And I would just always want to wear him down. I said, we can get him into the fourth quarter and be close. His guys got to get tired eventually. He can't rotate very much like we can. So, but I had a lot of fun with those games. And I think Tyler Bush was probably one of our best quarterbacks that we've had here. I know I've had some great ones with Joe Sabella. One of my coaches, Victor Salcedo, was a great one too back in the day here. So I've been blessed too with a lot of good athletes, a lot of good quarterbacks coming through here. But Tyler Bush it was a special one. He was small too, like Isaiah. I think he's probably 5'7", Tyler is, but he could throw the ball 60 yards and put it on a dime. So I'd say it was one of the best ones we've had around here. Isaiah killed us, so I don't know. I think we might have been able to beat him as a sophomore, and after that, we had no more chances against those guys their juniors and senior years. Those guys were really, really good. So I'm very, very happy that my guys were on being able to make that list. And I think they are too. You ask those kids, I'm sure they're ecstatic that they're on a list of 16 quarterbacks in the Valley.
Definitely. Yeah, no, it's
let me add something. I forgot, I didn't know, but like Rocky, I didn't know Tyler very well, but I watched that kid when he was 8th grade. We're playing a little junior high game at our school, and he threw a pass, and I looked at my coach and said, dang, that's an 8th grader throwing that ball. I mean, it was on the money, threaded the needle. And of course, the kid was a great athlete, and I just got a story about Kai. When he finally graduated over, I think he was on a 6-year plan, but, we kept chasing him, and he came up visiting with me about, playing against him or whatever. And, I appreciated all that. And I'll tell you one thing, all I can tell you is I told the boy I was glad he's graduated, because I sure was tired of seeing him chasing him around that dang field, and that kid was something special. I tell you what, and both those guys were, both of them. I watched them run and throw, and they both were dangerous. And I didn't get to mention that, but I just remember the Bush kid in 8th grade making passes, and I was over, because I'm looking at my seniors, they can't even do that. I'm like, Jiminy Christmas, but all were great kids, and I didn't know anything about it, but appreciate you putting somebody on there for us.
Definitely. Yeah, let's talk a little bit about y'all's coaching careers and this friendly rivalry that you guys have between you all. What are some famous war stories between you guys that maybe stood out, or some things that you guys remember when you guys would play against each other?
Jeez, I don't know.
I would say I'm going to start because my battery's running out and I may get dropped here in a bit. But I'll say that the best one was what Rocky just said right now. We were both, I think, at that season, we were both undefeated, and it was the game of the week, and we had the news media out there, and there was a big hype behind that game, and so we're moving the ball, and we're fast tempoing, and we came out the gate pretty strong, and all of a sudden, he was a ball boy, not a chain guy.
Oh yeah, ball boy. That's what it was.
So Philip Money's the ball boy, and all of a sudden, man, Rocky goes ballistic, and he's telling the ref, the ball boy can't be talking to the players and this and that and blah, blah, blah. And so they stopped the game, and it was, man, 15, 20 minutes, and we're stressed out. Like, man, I'll change the ball boy, but have you heard him say anything? I'm asking the line judge, if you hear him say anything, then flag his butt, and then I'll get his butt out of here. But he hadn't said anything. So we stopped the whole deal. And Rocky's, he's heated and he looks heated, and I'm trying to calm him. I'm even calming him. Rocky, he's not coaching, and he's yelling at me. And then at the end, I don't know if you remember, Rocky, but we finished that whole segment, and then he looks at me and he gives me that little smile, like he just kind of goes, dude, I just wanted to slow this stuff down right now. And sure enough, the game slowed down and the tide turned, and the game was back and forth the entire freaking game. And that's how it's been every year. Even last year, we somehow get up and give each other good games. We had a rough outing last year at St. Joe, but we ended up playing Rio Hondo tight. And last year, Stumbaugh had a phenomenal year, phenomenal team. We were stressed out getting up there, and at the end of 3 quarters, Bloodhounds are up on Hidalgo at their homecoming. I think they took us a little lightly there, but they ended up whooping our butt. But man, we've had some matchups when Stump was over at PI. Some of the games we had here, it would get packed. I've never seen St. Joe have that much blue out here. But every year is just an opportunity to play these guys, and they're well-coached kids. One thing I will say about both these guys that they're kids, they're tough. They're going to light your butt up, and they're going to play hard-nosed, but they're good kids because they're coached well. They're classy kids, and that's something that's real important. And I think that's what kept us friends off the field, is that we can joke around each other, and once the lights are on, oh yeah, we're enemies. But when it's all said and done, and we see each other at ref picks or a coaching clinic, man, we have the greatest laughs because we have a mutual respect for each other. And I have a lot of respect for these two guys. Nothing excites me more than opening the newspaper and watching Rio Hondo and Hidalgo, or back then it was Port Isabel, and to watch these guys win late in the season in the playoffs and advance. We're always rooting for them and stuff like that. And I can't tell you, with Stumbaugh, it was always jokes before the game. I don't have anything in the game. It's always jokes before the game. I always try to play tricks on people when they come to my field. And I was trying to get Monty, trying to figure out a way to rattle him before the game. And he wouldn't get rattled. He would just try to rattle me by acting so cool and calm. And he would always tell me that I have to spot him points if we're going to have a chance. I'm like, dude,
Tells me the same thing.
Don't sandbag me. We don't owe you any points. You're going to come out here and you're going to kick our butt, man. And so anyway, a lot of great memories, a lot of great stories. I'm so glad to be on the deal here with you guys, because I'd love nothing more than the next realignment for us to figure out a way to play each other again in the future. It breaks my heart to not have St. Joe play these two guys right here, because they got our team ready every year. We faced our district, and our kids would say, Coach, we're ready. We played Rio Hondo, we played PI, we played Hidalgo, we played those Valley 4As, and those Valley 4As, they'll light our ass up, and we're ready to play some football against our district.
Coach James?
Monty and I always had a friendly rivalry. Our teams, when he was at Port Isabel, it's a huge rival game, but between us coaches, it was never really a rivalry. we hype it up with our own kids because it was such a big rivalry game. But have a great relationship with both guys, great relationships. But it's, you really just try to hype it up for the game. And once the game's over, it was just a game. And, your friendships, you go back to your friendships. I don't really have a lot of stories of Monty. He either beat us or we beat him. And it was a bunch of times. I think we were like 50-50 playing Port Isabel back when Stump was there. And my 12 years, he was there, I think around 16 years. So, but my 12 years, I think we're probably like 6-6. So, but being able to beat PI anytime was always a really, really big deal to the whole community. Even when I was in Raymondville, beating PI was a big deal. And anytime you could get the upper edge on Port Isabel, it was a huge game. So, but always had tons of respect for Stump. He's been around a long time. I always make fun of his speaking. I'm his translator most of the time for him when we're at a meeting. Nobody understands him. I do. I've been around him a long time, so I'm usually his translator. Not a lot of people don't know hillbilly. I understand it for some reason.
West Texas, man. West Texas. These guys, I have a lot of respect for them. We all get along. It's a game, and at the end of the day, it's a game. And, like I said, we have our kids up. We're going to coach them up and try to give them the best way we can, be prepared to, play two good football teams. And that's the way I looked at it. And every time we played these guys, we learned something from it. We got better from it. And that was the main thing. It's no, Tino always tried to rat him a little bit. I always told him I was going to whip him on the 50-yard line, but and Rocky translates for me some, but he's, sometimes I forget I'm a smart West Texan, but no, it's all, and, it's all for the kids, you're going to hype them up and do the best you can to prepare them to be the best they can be. But, between the coaches, hey, I didn't make one tackle. I didn't make one catch. I didn't do anything except, try to put them in the right spots, and hopefully, they make the play or they don't. And that's why you play the game. But playing these guys was great. We don't really have any stories being Rocky. We just, we had some knockdown, drag out games. I mean, there were good games we won, games he won. I went to Hidalgo, and then they beat the dog out of me a couple years. And, then this past year we were able to win one. There were good games. And when we were at PI and Hondo, I mean, it was a slobber knock. I mean, we would get after each other's butt for 4 quarters, and it's the same old stuff. Whoever made the least mistakes won, and we went on about our business. And say Joey played a lot, and when Kyle Money was there, I got tired chasing that guy around. But playing Tino's guy, Tino does a great job over there. Like Rocky said, he don't have a lot of numbers, but he does a great job, and I think he hit the nail on the head. My whole deal is I want my teams, whoever plays me, to know that we're well coached, we're going to play hard, and we're going to play fair, we're going to be respectful, we're going to have a class act, and that's what I'm trying to teach these kids. You win with class, you lose with class. And these guys did that all the time, and all our games were good games. And the thing I will say, the story I remember the most, and this is with Tino, and I'll never forget this. Hope I don't get choked up. My mother passed away that year. 15, and he was they lit candles for my mom, and I'm getting a little choked up, but that meant a lot to me, bud, and I'll never forget it. So I appreciate it. I got to quit for a minute. I'll get choked up by my mom, but
I'll
really
finish.
appreciate it. It meant a lot to me, bud.
Absolutely, Coach. I'll finish it for you. So we were playing Port Isabel, and I had heard that Coach Stumbaugh wasn't at practice all week, and that his mother was ill, and then he went up and his mother passed away the week that they were playing us. I didn't know if he was going to make it back and to the game, and sure enough, we have a grotto here that the student body built in the corner of the campus, and that's where the benches are for kids and alumni from St. Joe that have passed away. Their names are on there. And we're a big believing school here. We're a Catholic school, and I'm a very religious person as well. And so the first thing I did, I told Monty when I saw him pull up late into the game, and he had been driving all day, I just told him, football aside, just want you to know that we went and lit some candles for your family and for your mom over there at the grotto. And the most important thing that one person can do for another is the power of prayer, and that's really, at the end of the day, what this is all about, is what we're trying to teach these young men to become is just great people, great friends. Like I told you, it's not just the football respect. It's I have a lot of respect for you guys too. And Coach, you know I love you too, man. So absolutely, thank you for remembering that. I'll never forget that either. You know, that was an emotional game, and an emotional time for you and for me.
Yeah, you bet, man. You can carry, don't worry. It'll never be forgotten in me, bud. It meant a lot.
Absolutely. Again, before we wrap up, guys, any shout outs you guys want to give out to maybe any of your athletes or maybe any of your family tuning in?
Okay, well, hang on. You didn't finish telling us how's that quarterback thing coming? Who's still left?
Oh, yeah. So, okay. So the bracket, we are in the Elite 8 right now. We have, let me pull it up. So the fans have 48 hours to vote. They can get on Twitter and on Facebook. I'm pulling up the bracket right now. Right now we are, let's see, we have right now is Marco Aguinaga versus Landry Gilpin. And then the second matchup that started the second matchup that's the voting started today was Kai Money and Eric Reta of San Benito. So that's on one side of the bracket. On the other side, in the next coming days, we're going to have Tres Barrera from Sherryland going up against Trey Guajardo from PSJA. And on the bottom half of the bracket, we're going to have Zach Gomez, who was at Mercedes and La Villa. He's going to be going up against Kevin Ledesma from Harlingen.
Oh,
So,
cool.
so that's the Elite 8 matchup right there. As soon as we get a Final Four, we do plan on having a Final Four show with the quarterback and the coach on a panel just like this. And then we'll have a finals show with the player and the coach, and then we'll break all that down. So honestly, this probably came to my mind about 2 weeks ago. I just woke up one morning, and I think I told Tino this story. I just woke up one morning, and I'm like, what if we start a quarterback bracket? You know, just the top, 16 quarterbacks from the last decade. Let's put a bracket together, and let's get the fans engaged. Let's get the fans go out there and vote and create conversation. And I think a story that Tino told me I thought was pretty cool was that his boys on his Zoom meeting were analyzing and breaking down the bracket, the what ifs, and if Landry would win this matchup, Kai would win this matchup, and then moving on. And they were just breaking down the whole bracket and just really just talking football and talking about quarterbacks. And that was the whole point of this. It's fun to see the fans get engaged and just talk about these quarterbacks. And they're even commenting highlight videos, and they're talking about, the good old days with these quarterbacks. So that was the whole idea behind this, just to have these fans have something to talk about these days, and just talk about sports, talk about football in May. So it's been a lot of fun. But yeah, that's our Elite 8 matchup right now. Reta and Kai Money, their voting started today. Marco and Landry's started yesterday. So we're keeping tabs on that, and it's been a lot of fun.
Well, very cool. Glad Kai's still in it.
Yeah, no,
Don't vote for him.
I voted for him. I watched him for 4 years.
Hey, you didn't finish the story though. So Coach Stumbaugh tells Kai, "Oh, thank God he graduated. I'm tired of having to have guys chase you." And Money responded to Coach Stumbaugh. He goes, "Well, Coach, I want you to know you're one of the best guys that we had to play against, and I'm glad that I don't have to play against your teams anymore because they whooped my butt a lot." So it was that was the end of that story.
Yeah, he was a good kid, man. God dang, you playing at UT now?
Yes, sir.
Yep.
God dang,
He's got to go report back June 1st.
dream come true, man. That's the thing about these kids. You get to see them relieve their, get their dream and reach it, and come back and visit you, and it don't get much better than that. It really doesn't.
Yes, sir.
You're right.
definitely. Again, we're joined by Real Hondo's Rocky James, Hidalgo's Monty Stumbaugh, Ronzo St. Joe's Tino Villarreal. Guys, any shout outs?
I don't know. I just like to wish these guys good luck this year, and have a great year. And Tino, don't forget when I retire, you need to hire me so I can double dip on that deal, make some money. But I just, I would thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and being on with these two guys is an honor and a privilege. And just hope everybody stays safe and healthy, and we all get back to normal here someday soon. And stay safe, boys, and good luck to you.
Thank you. And thanks for having us on, and thanks for having me on with these two guys also. I think it's awesome being able to put some of these coaches together that have had some great games and some great matchups. So I'm happy to be on with these two guys. But I want to wish all these athletes, stay safe, keep working out. You don't know when this thing's going to end, so make sure you're doing your part and trying to stay in shape.
I have obviously this ditto to all the thank yous, Kevin, Real Sports Live. We've talked about I've already talked about the respect I have for these two guys. I'm going to send a shout out to the Rio Hondo Bobcats and the Hidalgo Pirates, because you have two great guys leading your program, and you guys have to live up to the expectation. The expectation is going to be high for you two teams, and we'll be cheering you guys on from our end over here. And my final shout outs obviously to my players. If any of my players or my alumni are watching, we hope to live up to our expectation that we've built here at our school, and continue making everybody proud to be a Bloodhound. So thank you for having me on.
Definitely. Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
A lot of fun.
Thank you.
Coach James, Jabez is signing at 3, so we're actually going to be on back at 3 o'clock to stream Jabez Villarreal's signing there in Rio Hondo. So we're going to be back on at 3 o'clock, and then later today at 5, we're going to keep the football train rolling. Bill Littleton from McAllen Memorial, he's going to be joining the show. So pretty much an all football show today with you guys and Coach Littleton on later today at 5. So Coach James, Coach Stumbaugh, Coach Villarreal, again, thanks for joining us. It was fun. I'm glad, Tino and I swapped this idea sometime last week and said, hey, let's get this thing going. And I'm glad we were able to get it on, and you guys were able to come on here and share stories and just talk about y'all's days on playing against each other.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you.
again.
All right.
Thank
we'll
you.
see
Take care.
Okay,
Later,
y'all
Tino.
be careful.